You know what I want to talk about? The longshoremen strike. Did they start yet? I think maybe they started today.
I
You
don't
guys,
know.
I don't
you know
know.
about this?
I
So
read a
the
blurb.
longshoremen, I guess along the entire East Coast, maybe, are wanting to strike. They want, forget my numbers, they're close, but they could be off. I think a 50% raise is on the table, but they want a 70 or 80% raise. But the
Whoa.
big sticking point, they make about $40 an hour now. So for New York, that's kind of low. I don't know where elsewhere. But the big sticking point is they want a 6-year contract that ensures there'll be no more automation coming to our ports. And that's like, I consider myself pro worker. I have a lot of sympathy for the working. I think a lot of money in this country, the divide between wealthy and normal is wider than it's ever been. And it's pretty fucking wild. I think, and I kind of like applaud workers flexing their muscles a little bit. These are necessary people, et cetera, et cetera. But if you watch that thing about the guy talking about shutting down and ruining the auto industry crashes, this and that, if they force that, oh, Zach says the strike ended. Well, gosh darn, that was quick.
I didn't even get to strike.
Yeah, people were like, shit. All right. Damn, that was so fast. It was active at the start of the show, I think.
I saw a guy lay out what would happen day by day with the strike. And it was like, he's like, that's $8.5 billion a day gone. And I'm like, oh shit, I bet we fixed this quick.
It literally happened less than 2 hours ago. Okay. During the show, it ended.
Good.
That's good news.
Yeah, that is good news. Thank goodness. And there were some conspiracy theories. Trump met with the leader of them shortly before it happened. But I'm like, just meeting with a union leader is not a bad act in itself.
Whoa, a union leader trying to put the screws to people on their own?
That's
Unheard
what they do.
of.
But the lack of automation, like imagine if I was in like the shovel and rakes union demanding that you don't buy excavators and bulldozers. It's like, how can a nation be competitive if we resist automation? You don't see them doing that in other nations. It's going to be a big problem. We have to make this stuff good. So I wonder what kind of deal they struck.
What would Frank Zabaka say?
It's difficult, the automation thing, because like it would have to be meted out correctly. Because like you couldn't have, like if they approved automated truck driving tomorrow, like that's what 12 million people that instantly don't have a job or a career anymore.
So I can kind of get on board with this. You can't replace existing workers with automation. Okay. Now we know over like the next, I'll make up a number, 15 years, half of this workforce is gone. And that's how it's going to happen. You know, people will leave and we won't have to backfill them. Boom.
But what are they going to do? Like truck driver is the job for
in this
low
scenario,
educated men.
What would people?
Yeah, like what else?
I never know the answer to that, but I do understand like the economics of it. If you're like, I did this like 10 years ago almost. Taylor, we live in a village, a tiny little primitive village, and we are spear fishermen. That's what we do. Asshole Kyle comes along and invents the net. He's putting us all out of work. We're not going to be out of work. Human wants are insatiable. We're going to find new work in the hut building industry. There are other places for our labor because there will always be a growing need of human wants. We'll just have a higher lifestyle. Everybody will because of automation. So what is a longshoreman going to do? Like a person who would have potentially been a longshoreman, he'll find another spot. A person who would potentially be a truck driver will find another job. They always do. I can't tell you what it will be. Well, so your argument is this time is different. Right?
No. That it would be a catastrophic change socially to rapidly move like 10 million like working class Americans out of a job, and they have no qualifications to do something else. And many of them have families.
Right. Yeah. And you said truck driver, but if you broaden it even farther to driver. Right. Like now we're talking about forklift operators, truck drivers. There's all kinds of people who are taxi cabs, Uber, whatever. Right. Mailmen. Yeah. That's a great one too. Like there's all kinds of people who
fuck those short wearing cocksuckers
whose job is essentially driver. Like it's an enormous industry, much larger than just truck drivers. And if overnight we replace them, I don't know how the economy would swallow that change.
Yeah.
But if it becomes like, hey, you know what? Like, don't get into driving, just like you don't want to get into a travel agency right now. Like that's been replaced by the internet. Get into some other job. There'll be a new job. There'll be a new spot for everybody. There always is, because human wants cannot be satisfied. So there'll be a new job.
Yeah, that's one.
But
we're
getting to the point that a lot of stuff can be fully automated, and in that way, I do believe it's different than any time in the past. Like being able to automate out lawyers, make it so those are not needed anymore. AI can do it in a more sophisticated, better way. Instantly draw on all the information you need. Getting rid of anyone doing manual labor. Like these are steps we haven't seen changed. Like. There's a difference between people being like, oh, the horse will forever be the primary means of transportation, and being like, okay, well, what happens? Like, what's the next step after manual labor is
there are
no
factories that
longer
are entirely automated now. You just have a couple of guys there to monitor the machines, but they're entirely automated factories, you know?
Yeah, AI is going to change the game with this. Like, we really don't know the capacity for it.
I'm curious, right? Like, I'm skeptical, but I'm also aware I might be wrong. Like you're like, hey, AI attorneys are better than real attorneys. I doubt it. I feel like
not yet.
I'll tell you what, AI doesn't know shit about Elden Ring. Like it gets it wrong constantly. If you're telling me it's that much better at like divorce law or something, I'm skeptical.
I agree with you now, but like, let's play the tape forward 20 years, 25 years.
Okay.
Like, think of where our electronic technology was 25 years ago and where it is today. And think about AI in its infancy today. Like we're in the infancy of it. Like we're just now getting it. It's going to be so I don't think we can imagine how much more sophisticated it's going to be 20 years from now.
Tool that makes people better at their jobs. So when Google came along, suddenly computer programming fundamentally changed. Like your job became basically finding someone else who wrote something similar and altering it to satisfy your current problem. That's the bulk of what programmers do. And now that AI comes along, your job is basically to get AI to write your code for you and then figure out how close it came. Like, alter that last 5% or get what they wrote to fit in your system. That's what attorneys are going to do.
I want AI should be able to take the job of the guy who takes your order at McDonald's. It should be able to take the job of a lot of things like that. I saw the Ukrainians have this AI drone, and it hovers over the battlefield, and it just looks at vehicles and immediately identifies them and displays the percentage of certainty next to them. So it's looking at this, it's watching over the battlefield, and it's like light tank, light armored vehicle, tank, artillery piece, and it's little percentages next to them that are constantly changing, and it's tracking them all independently. That was kind of neat. Like
that's scary. I wonder where the logic is. Like if that drone goes down, do the Russians get it? Or is the logic back at home in the satellite somewhere?
I see what you mean.
Oh yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't think they're too worried about that. I think the Russians have plenty of crazy shit too. Those drones are great. I watch
Russian
so much about the drone.
Imaginary.
Well, the drone stuff is they're a couple $100 a piece. I watched a whole little documentary today, I think, about drone warfare again, because it's continuously changing. It's getting like better and better and better, faster and faster and faster. They said that Ukraine was 60% of DJI sales last year. 60% of their product, their drones, their biggest drone maker in the world, and their civilian drones. They don't make military shit. Went to Ukraine. DJI was like, we don't know anything about that. That's not true. That's not true. Don't worry about that. Ignore that. We make hobbyist drones. But
sometime in like 20 years ago, right? I bought Children's Place because my wife said she really liked the selection and the price and was just a super happy customer. Children's Place is like a Baby Gap kind of store. And so I looked into it, and their financial statements look good to me. And she said it was. I was like, oh fuck, let's do it. And then they got into Razor scooters. The scooters became like the biggest thing in America for a while.
Oh, they were awesome. I had one.
And I held the company that made it. It's like was their primary distributor. I'm like, what? Oh, I can pick them, huh? So,
man, don't you try and test me on the scooter market. That's so funny. And the whole time were you just like, I don't know if this is sustainable with the scooter hype, but when do I sell?
Back up again. I haven't looked at it in ages.
When is the scooter bubble going to burst?
Scooter-based economy was a bad idea.
Yes, we learned that with the bird scooters, which is I had to help criminals.